Hi there, this is Lynn Everard with part 4 of Balancing Our Energies. In part 1, we looked at a more of a global look at our energies. In parts 2 and 3, in each one, we looked at 5 different ways in which women abandon their divine feminine. And in this fourth and final installment, we look at the bigger picture once again, but we also talk about how women can begin the process of, bringing their divine feminine back in to themselves. And so before we do that, what I thought would be helpful is to offer a reminder that that both men and women have divine feminine in us and can access it, although not all of us have done that. And that when I talk about divine feminine for women, I'm really talking about divine feminine if that's where you feel most comfortable, if that's where what feels right to you, that is your, we'll call it your home location in terms of all the possibilities of masculine and feminine. And remember, we talked about 6 different locations of that. So uh, and I'm not telling women to not be, to not access their divine masculine. And I'm not telling men they can't access their divine feminine. In fact, we all can access both. And when we can do that, then our energies can be truly balanced. But for this, since we had started out this focused on women and the divine masculine, I thought we would finish this series in this way. And if there's any guys watching this and you would be interested in me doing something for the men and focusing on divine masculine, please let me know. And so let's jump in. So I'm going to look at 5 different ways for women to begin to re-embrace and reclaim and reignite their divine feminine. And again, this doesn't mean that as a woman you don't have the divine feminine or that you're never accessing it. What it does mean is that you may be not balanced in your accessing of it because you may have spent so much time in this world competing for resources and having to get things done that you haven't really spent time in your divine feminine. So what balance looks like for all of us in being able to live our lives as men and women, as divine feminine and divine masculine, is that from that masculine aspect, we focus on the doing, on the action, the inspired action. But in the feminine or divine feminine, that is where the flow is. That is where the spark of creativity comes, and we get that desire, and then we shift over to the masculine doing from the being. And then when we've done the doing, we come back again into the feminine, into the divine feminine, to be able to receive the fruits of our labors, to allow to receive the rewards, to allow ourselves to receive the rewards of all that hard work, of all that doing. It's just that when we're so focused on the doing and we're not really focused on the being, or not giving equal time to the being, we get unbalanced. And especially for women, if the divine feminine is where you feel most at home, but you've gone way over into the divine masculine, then you're probably working a lot harder than you need to. And instead of drawing things to yourself, you're out chasing them. And so, and men can access this as well. But I see it more in women because I see women getting overwhelmed and lost and buried in all the doing. Men, I think, are often more comfortable in their divine masculine, so we're just all out doing anyway. And so we get to slow down and focus on being a bit more, and women get to do the same. As men, it's like we the divine masculine is our normal place, but for us to have balance, then we need to allow that divine feminine aspect of ourselves to be active in our lives as well. So let's jump in. And the first one of coming back to that divine feminine balance is awareness. It's about being open to becoming aware. So before anything happens in life, before we are able to implement any kind of change in ourselves, we must become aware of what it is that's going on and aware that we would like to change it. So whenever an awareness comes up, we have a choice to make. Do we want to change it, or do we want to just accept it and allow it and move on? And there's not a wrong choice. It's just to be aware that that awareness brings us into a choice. The second one is what I'm calling inner dialogue or internal dialogue. Now, this is where, in light of awareness, we start to ask ourselves questions. You know, why this? Why am I doing this? Why is it working this way? Why do I feel so overwhelmed, so tired, so out of sorts, so low on energy? And you know, when you do that as a woman, that's where you'll start to realize that you're more in your masculine than in your feminine. It's not wrong. It's just a question of where are you most comfortable? Where are you most at home in your energies? The third one is to discover your truth. Each of us has a truth about ourselves. We actually have more than one truth. But the primary truth that we have is our divinity, our connection to source, our connection to what we believe is God. And there are many different beliefs and you know, ways that people think about that. But beyond that, then there is the truth of who you are as a person, as a divine feminine, as a divine masculine. What are your gifts? What are your skills, your talents? What are your desires? What do you want to do in this world? What's your purpose? What's your platform? How are you going to go about delivering your purpose in the world? And so those are very important things to think about, and all wrapped up together, they become the truth of who you are. And then once you understand the truth of who you are, now you can start to live in harmony with your truth. One of the places where we suffer in life is that when we try to live contrary to our own truth, where we try to live according to someone else's belief system that's not ours. And so then that makes it very difficult for us to be safe and comfortable in our own skin, because we always feel like we're wrong. We always feel like we're out of alignment, out of balance, out of sorts. The fourth one is to evaluate the places where you abandon your divine feminine and to compare that against the truth of who you are. Again, once we shine a light on something, then we start to become aware of it. So this will take us back into a process of asking questions. And, you know, why is it that I feel tired? Why is it that I feel overwhelmed? Why is it that I have a to-do list a mile long? And yet I get some of it done, but I don't feel good about it. I don't feel like I'm really accomplishing anything in my life. So we get to look at that. And then number 5 is that for each new awareness, we get to make a choice or a decision. What am I going to do with this? Now, in every case, I should be willing to accept it as it is, but then I also have the ability to choose something different. And the more I become aware of myself, the more I become aware of who I am and what my truth is, then I can start to look at these awarenesses and say, what would I like to change to bring that aspect of myself into balance, into harmony, into alignment with the truth of who I am? And then this is where things start to get really powerful, and those barriers and those walls get broken down, and we're actually able to go somewhere and actually able to get somewhere in our lives. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't wrap this up with the following. You know that I'm a coach, and I've never really liked that word, but I really here's what I do. I don't heal anybody, because I believe that we're all whole, perfect, and complete. and any healing that needs to get done is done by you. You'll take care of your own healing. What I think happens to a lot of people, though, is that they don't understand that the healing is a first step, and that now it's time to integrate that healing into our daily life. What that means is that every time our healing comes in contact with an experience that we lived for however many years in an unhealed state, we now have an opportunity to apply our healing to that situation. And we again are brought to a choice point. We can choose to operate from our healed self or choose to let it stay right where it is, which means we're going back into our unhealed self. So the work that I do with people is that I don't heal them, but I help them create strategies to integrate their healing into their lives and to help them develop awarenesses of how that healing is interacting with their day-to-day life, how it's interacting with all of their experiences and their past choices and the emotional impact of those past choices or the emotional impact of things that happened to them. So as I mentioned before, I have 6 spots open for coaching clients. And if you're interested in that, if you're interested in someone who will support you as a divine feminine and also walk with you through the integration of your healing, which you provide the healing, I support you in providing the strategy and integration, and also support you in encouragement and supporting you in your goals and purpose as the divine masculine. If you're interested in that, please reach out to me. You can send an email to leverard@lyneverard.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. On Instagram, I'm Lynn Everard, and I'd be happy to have a conversation with you, exploration call to find out if we'd be a good fit to work together. So consider that. When the spaces are gone, they're gone. And I don't know when I'll be opening up new ones or if I will be. I'm developing something where I can reach even more people. But I'd certainly love to help anyone. I'd love to support you. If you're not where you want to be, you're healing, all that's great, but your healing is now, you're not feeling aligned in your healing with your life, because now it's time to have awarenesses and to make choices about how you're going to apply your healing to your life. If that would support you, please reach out, contact me. And that is going to do it for this 4th episode of the 4-part series on balancing our energies. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to share this video with anyone that you like. And thank you very much.